West Coast love, West Coast love, homie. Hey, that's it. Break that shit down.
What's up, football fans? Welcome back to By the Numbers, episode 6 today. It's Kevin Emmons, your host here, alongside my co-host, Chris Baker. We got Roderick Boyd behind the scenes, working all the magic as he always does, producing. Chris, it's great to be back for another show. Different location today, switching up a little bit in the new studio we got here. How was your week? I know you got to go out and see some football this past weekend. The Phillies are preparing for the playoffs. I know you're a big Phillies fan. New England Patriots, you're a big Patriots fan. They got a big win this week.
Nice
So
win, yeah.
it seemed like it was a good weekend for you. How'd everything go?
Yeah, just working as usual. Got to watch the Patriots play Sunday. I got to hang out with my family this week too for my uncle and my dad's birthday. Phillies coming up, Red October starting soon. Patriots got a big win, 2-2, looking good. So I'm feeling pretty good so far. Yeah,
It sounds like it was a good weekend for you. Yeah, so we're back here. Obviously, a lot to go over from this past week. There was a lot of good games that occurred last weekend, and then obviously the typical routine. We preview next week. We have two very good guests today. We have a Division I recruit waiting to join us today, who had a big game over the weekend, helped his team to a win, has another big game coming up this week, and then we also have a coach coming in who is leading an undefeated team right now, who has a massive rivalry game this week that we'll talk about. I know you were at Camden and Rancocas Valley this past week, which was a huge game, pretty much like the consensus South Jersey game of the week. A lot of guys were there. Take us through that game, what happened, and what were your takeaways from that game?
Yeah, it was like a defensive dogfight pretty much. Neither offense could really get things going. There's only 2 touchdowns in the game. Kadin scored about like halfway through the second quarter. Roman Duckett rushing touchdown. They kind of just ground down the defense of Rancocas Valley. Long drive. I think it was like 12 or 13 play drive. I'm pretty sure it was their turnover on downs as well too. They kind of just ground them down, won that clock out, and ended up scoring. And then Rancocas Valley couldn't really get much going throughout the course of the game either. They had the duo we talked about, David Ogunsola and Michael Beasley. They came up huge. Had a strip sack in the red zone. Ogunsola had the strip sack. Beasley with the recovery. Just ended up stalling out on offense, and Camden ended up just holding out pretty much.
It sounds like it was a good game too, and I mean that actually I forgot to ask our question of the day, which was going to be, what's one game, high school, college, or pro, that you find yourself going back? You love to rewatch the game or rewatch the highlights of. The reason that was, like I said, that was the question of the day. It completely slipped my mind, but the reason I thought of that was because that Rancocas Valley Camden game was an 8-6 decision. A lot of people want to see a lot of points. They want to see high flying offense, stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of watching games like that. Some defined as a defensive struggle, but I like a slugfest like that where it's like, hey, every possession counts, every play counts, every score counts. And my answer to the question I was asking was, I like to go back and watch the Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears in the playoffs, the famous double doink game, because in that game, it was a defensive struggle. Every possession counted. And as I said, a lot of people like to watch the high-flying offense, a lot of points. That game, I remember just teams punting back and forth. There was a field position game, trying to flip the field and whatnot. And I just love that. I love the strategy aspect of football when it becomes, it's an ultimate team sport. So when it becomes a chess match and, sure, you're in situations, you're doing whatever you can to convert, you're trying to flip the field. I remember watching that game, and the Eagles are punting with about 6 minutes left, and they're down. It's like, 6 minutes left. Did they got enough time? And sure enough, they punted. Defense went down, held tight. They were able to go get the ball back and score, and then obviously won with a little miracle there at the end. But that would be my answer for a game I like to go back and rewatch, just simply of how that game panned out. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of watching a low-scoring defensive battle. And don't get me wrong, I like watching high-flying offense, a lot of points every now and then too. But I'm a huge fan of watching a tactical football game.
Before we get to Chris's point, let's revisit that and ask everybody in the comment section if y'all can put what game you like to revisit in the comment section. I know we're a little behind, so I want to get right to our guest if we can.
Absolutely.
He's been patiently waiting. We don't want to keep him on for another 10, 15. So we're going to go right to him.
Absolutely. Hey, sounds good to me.
All right, we ready to go. Go ahead, Kev.
So our first guest on today's show is a standout running back who's off to a great start this season. His team just picked up a huge win over the weekend against Eastern. No better time to bring on our first guest, RJ Blount from Pennsauken High School, standout running back, committed to Temple. RJ had 222 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown, or excuse me, 2 touchdowns, I believe, in a huge win over Eastern, 35-28 at home. RJ, welcome. We're happy that you took some time out of your night to join us. How's everything going?
Are you on mute, RJ? Take care. I think you might be muted. Hold on 1 second. There we go.
Hello? You hear me?
You got us?
Yeah.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We got you. What's up, RJ? How you doing?
What's up? Thanks for having me
So
on.
like I said, a huge
Hey,
win
thank you.
over the weekend, 35-28 against Eastern. I was at that game early on. Both teams were sort of struggling to move the ball. I shouldn't say struggling to move the ball. It was, a lot of short yards, a lot of punting back and forth early on, not a lot of chunk plays. Then eventually you had a huge catch on sort of a mesh concept that kind of set up the first score. You guys were able to pull out a huge win against Eastern. Divisional game. You guys improved to 4-1. Just talk about that win. How were you guys able to pull through and come back from, it was 21-14 deficit at halftime. You guys were able to pull it out in the second half. How were you guys able to get that win?
Definitely, we dug our feet down and came together, but huge shout out to our quarterback. Our quarterback, Nas, he stepped up for us. He made, a couple big plays. Probably had one of the best games of his career, but he definitely stepped up for us and he made us look good.
And like I said, obviously a 21-14 deficit at halftime to be able to, keep your guys' head in the right spot. I know obviously a touchdown isn't a huge deficit. It could have been worse, but
Yeah.
a lot of guys, get in that situation and they might feel discouraged and whatnot. You guys were able to pull through and play your best football in the second half. So what were the conversations like at halftime? How were you guys able to stay together?
That first half, it was a lot of mental mistakes. That first pick we had set them up for their first score, which shouldn't have happened. It was kind of a mental mistake where it was a screenplay, tossed it to him, but it was a lot of mental mistakes that we knew we could fix. We cleaned it up and we came together as a team and came home with the win.
Now, Chris, I know you've seen RJ play a couple times. So anything you got for RJ?
Yeah, RJ, I saw you last year against Vineland at home and against Cherry Hill West at home. It seems like
Okay.
Coach Tab, the game plan is kind of run the offense through you a little bit. I think you ended the Vineland game with, 30 carries for about 200 something yards. Is that something that you kind of
Yeah.
take pride in, just being that workhorse back, in day in and day out?
For sure. I embrace it, just having the opportunity to go out there and play and for coaches to trust me to even give me that many carries is definitely, a blessing. But yeah, I go out there and embrace it, do the best I can.
And RJ, I know you committed to Temple. What was that recruitment process like for you? Who were some of the schools that were recruiting you in addition to Temple? And what made you make the decision? What were some of the schools you chose Temple over? And what led you to that ultimate decision to want to go right across the bridge and continue your athletic and academic career at Temple University?
I had, I had UMass, Villanova, and UConn recruit me pretty heavy, but Temple just it felt right. It being over the bridge. Coach Tab, the head coach at Temple is Coach Tab's former head coach at Rowan. Um, Coach AP from South Jersey guy. I feel like everything clicked and it being right over the bridge. I feel like everything just aligned. Like it felt like home once I finally touched on the campus. They showed me a lot of love and it just felt right.
And how exciting is that? I know obviously right now you're focused on in season. You guys still got a long way to go with the high school season. I know you guys got big goals this year, but how exciting is it to, know that your next chapter is going to be at Temple? And that's a program that's on the rise right now. They struggled in recent years, but things are trending in the right direction. How excited are you to be a part of that journey and be able to contribute to that rebuild in the coming years?
Yeah, that was one of my main things. The things that they're building over there is definitely something I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of that next step for Temple. I feel like they got some great things going for them in the future. So, I'm very excited next year to be attending.
Yeah, so Rick, I know you like to throw us a curveball every now and then. You always have a few questions for our guests in terms of, I don't know if you got some different ones this week, but usually it's along the lines of pregame meal, pregame playlist. What do you got for RJ today?
I mean, that's always a question that I have. I kind of like to see how kids get into the mindset of getting prepared for a game. So take us through your typical Friday night. What what's your usual ritual? Friday getting ready for a game.
For me, hydrate. Me playing both sides of the ball and me doing a lot, being that workhorse, I need to hydrate. I have sometimes some cramping problems, but just focus on hydrating, getting my fluids in, and getting a good night's rest.
Okay. So what's in the playlist? What we playing before the game?
um, Dang. Uh, Me, I'm not really hype. Like I like to keep it chill. Like some Drake, some Gunna, some. I like the. I don't really like the loud. Well, a little bit of it is good, but I like to keep it mellow. Just stay locked in.
Okay. And if you had it's just, off the top, like if you had one player from an opposing team that you faced this year, that you can insert on your team, not taking anybody's spot, but somebody that you played against that you saw that was pretty good this year that you would put on your team.
Um, hmm, somebody.
God, I'm thinking this week.
Yeah, I got him think. I want him to think about that.
That was
Like
a good one.
because
Got me
I mean,
thinking.
sometimes you play against guys who are really good. So when you play against them, or you just notice them, they flash, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, he's pretty good. He's a good player, or somebody that you train with that that is really putting in the hard work to be good this season.
Um, I said a kid from I don't know his name, but number 13 on Eastern. He made a
Terry
couple plays against us
Terry Cook.
from Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, he made a couple plays against us 1-on-1. He made some things happen. He definitely would be a good piece.
Here you go.
There's the answer. Yeah.
That's a talented player right there. That's a great question out of you, Rick. Because that's like you said, teams go into games and whatnot, and there's some weeks where you have a player who's the focal point of the game plan. Like, okay, we need to do this to neutralize this guy.
Mhm.
So that's a great question, because obviously, you have respect for your opponent at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And it's like, hey, I'd love to have that guy on my team. Or like you said, sometimes you train with guys who go to a different school and whatnot, but there's a friendship there, there's a bond. It's like, hey, this is my guy. I'd love to play with him if I had the opportunity. So I like that. That's a good question.
I got a quick story about that. I remember, so my 8th grade year was Jonathan Taylor's senior year at Salem, and they came up to Gloucester to play. And I was in 8th grade yet, so I wasn't able to play, obviously, for high school. I remember hearing all the stories the next couple of years about how, like, that whole week leading up to practice, like, all their defensive sessions was just, like, all inside run, trying to contain the run, stopping the run. They're all was just focused, like, all eyes. Just, the entire game plan was just, don't let 23 run all over us. And it didn't really work out well. But, everyone in South Jersey didn't really do too well against that.
JT in the league, that's a league bound play. You know what I mean?
That's a great player right there. This past weekend when I was at Broughton Township Delran, I was talking to Mark Tribble, and he said Jonathan Taylor was the one player he watched where they would literally punt, and the coach would be like, "Get away from the ball!" Like they wanted the ball to go as far back as possible, so he could rack up as many yards as possible to go break that record. And they had that much faith in him to be able to go do that. So obviously, tremendous player who's playing the NFL, leading the NFL in rushing. Going into last week. But RJ, before we let you go, like I said, huge win last week, but you guys got another big one this week. Neighborhood rival Camden East Side, only separated by a couple miles, right up Route 130 there. How excited are you guys for this game? What are you guys doing to prepare? And what does this game sort of mean to the community? I know it's a matchup that didn't happen for a long time. In the past couple of years, it's been happening, but these are two towns where, you could be walking down the street in Pensacola. Next thing you know, you're in East Camden. I know Rick's familiar with the area. These are the kind of, rivalries, games that are important to high school football. So how excited are you guys for this game this week? And what are you guys doing to prepare?
We're very excited. The last couple years, it's been a very tight game. The 2 years ago, I think it went in overtime, and then last year it was a dogfight to the end. I think it was 13-6, 13-8. But it's no matter. You get me?
Yeah,
No matter
we
how the
got you.
teams match up, it's always a dogfight. So, and they scheduled we're scheduled as their homecoming, so that is also personal. But yeah, we going in expecting to win, and I feel like it's gonna be a good game.
For sure. Anything? I had a couple more questions.
Hey,
I
reel
mean,
them off. Reel them off.
I got
You're on
nothing.
fire,
Yeah.
man. You got some good ones.
Nah, I mean, we been out to a couple of your games. We watched you play. When did you start playing
Hmm.
football?
Freshman year, tackle football freshman year.
So
Yeah.
see, I asked that question for a reason because we float around and we outside and we get to see a lot of the guys come up through the youth programs. So for you to come in your
Hmm.
freshman year, we got a chance to see. I think I first saw you your sophomore year, I believe, a little bit sophomore and junior year for sure. So what do you contribute to you being successful as a high school player without using youth football as your prep?
I feel like it was my ability to adapt. Like when when I get things that like when I started playing football, because I played football when I was younger, but I just never really played tackle. But
Mhm.
it was always a thing I wanted to do, and I always understood it. So just getting out there and really just adapting and having the older guys, guide me. Because I started my freshman year, so I always had that senior mentorship for
Mhm.
them to be there. So guys just lead me in the right direction. Me, being all in, it just came together.
All right, I thought you was going to say you was playing soccer or what I mean, something like
Nah,
that.
I used to be a hooper.
You used to be a hooper. Okay,
Yeah,
you did the whole AU circuit, or you just local?
yeah.
So who you play for? Team final, baseline? Who were you playing for?
Nah, I was Fam Academy in Camden.
Okay,
Played for a couple like teams that we just put together. Uh, yeah, I pick up like I would just one weekend a team would call me, I just pick up like and go.
okay. And this is my last question. I'm not going to hold you any longer, but since you're just starting, who are some of the guys that may have come before you, whether it been on you watched them play in high school, college, or pros that you kind of model your game off of and have taken some stuff from to put into your game?
Um, a running back,
Did he cut out?
a running back that I model my game after. I kind of like a mixture, but the running back that came out of North Carolina is named Marion Hampton. I don't know why, but I always liked the way he played.
NC.
Growing up, well, not growing up, but the last couple years, tune into college football, watch him play. I feel like we got a lot of similarities. Uh, just like the college football aspect, like RJ Harvey from UCF. Like I feel like
Okay.
we all got kind of that same. I watch a lot of college football, but yeah, that's two running backs I like watching.
Okay, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, those are two great answers right there. I know Chris liked the first one, being a UNC fan. He definitely liked that Omarion Hampton answer. But those are two up and coming running backs right there. Two good guys to model your game after too. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think that's all you guys got. We appreciate you coming on, RJ, taking the time out of your night to talk to us about obviously the huge win. Plenty of football in between there about what gets you ready and whatnot, and then the big game come up this week. So congratulations on everything
yeah.
you've accomplished to this point, your commitment to Temple, and good luck the rest of the way, because I know you guys have big goals this year and a big game this week. So we wish you luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Just real quick, I just want to say we're going to do the show a little bit different, as you guys have already heard. Shout out to Coach Bird in the chat right now on YouTube. You just heard we're in a new studio, so I'm trying to get everything set up the way that it needs to be set up. But we have Coach Booker in the building, so we can actually get our next guest on, and then we can get back to the game of the week and all that stuff. Because
It works for me.
if they here, let's go ahead and roll them out, man.
Absolutely. So do we have Kadin Booker on the line here, Blount City head coach?
Hey, Coach Booker, you ready? Hold on one second. I'm gonna send him a text.
I like that answer though, Marion Hampton. That's So he was such an underrated running back. I know he was like what the first or second running back taken in the draft this past year,
Yep.
but still, man. I mean, last year it was just only him that we had too. So
Oh,
some of the
absolutely.
games were brutal to watch, but like you get that Hampton flash, you get that splash play from him. It was a freaking nature out there to watch.
Absolutely. And obviously, it's early in his pro career and he's starting to come around though. It's been a couple games and I think he's going to be a very special running back. In the
Yeah, I mean
NFL.
he's got to take over the number one role now. I mean, obviously he was splitting carries with Najee Harris. Unfortunate injury for Harris, but I think Hampton's got the intangibles and the tangibles to take over that one spot.
I like the RJ Harvey answer too. A lot of people don't know who RJ Harvey is, but that's another, underrated talent right there.
Yeah.
So, Denver Broncos drafted him. Sean Payton, obviously, Sean Payton knows what kind of guys he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, dating back to when he was at New Orleans Saints. So definitely a guy who fits that mold of that Sean Payton brand of football. So I think that's a great guy for RJ to mold his game after and sort of look up to as he continues his career at Temple. So while we're waiting for Kadin Booker to join us, why don't you just take us through some of the eye-popping numbers from this past week that stood out? I know we had some high-scoring games, some impressive stat lines. Just take us through some of those quick numbers.
Yeah, so Cedar Creek and Holy Spirit. I mean, it seems like Friday nights it's always a fireworks display down in Cedar Creek. Ever since they got those lights, something about them, man. They put on a show down there. So Cedar Creek and Holy Spirit combined for 76 total points. Cedar Creek came away with a 43-33 win over Holy Spirit. Spirit had 380 total yards of offense. Cedar Creek had 592 total yards of offense. The big thing was the ground game for Cedar Creek. Amir Dunbar and Jameer Canfield both combined for 436 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think Canfield had 4 carries for like 140 something yards. And then Ty Costable, who I think it's like a second or third 5 touchdown game this year for Holy Spirit, threw for 321 yards as well too. So I mean he's kind of slinging it down there for the Spartans. And then Kip Cooper, Norcross Academy, scored 74 touchdowns, 74 points alone over Lindenwold. Titans had 2 touchdowns through the air, 5 on the ground, a pick 6 on defense, and 2 kick return touchdowns. And it seems like they got some good things going over there for Kip Cooper.
Absolutely. And the touchdown on defense and 2 on special teams stands out to me because I was going through some numbers earlier today and seen in Shawnee's win, Tyler Nichols had 2 punt return touchdowns and a kick return touchdown, which is pretty impressive to be able to score that many touchdowns on special teams. So, obviously that's game changing. We see the Philadelphia Eagles. That was huge that they got a special teams touchdown. Yeah. Obviously, to win them a game against the Los Angeles Rams last week, and then this past week, they started off with a touchdown on special teams, and that propelled them to a win as Tampa Bay Buccaneers rallied in the end, but it wasn't enough. And having that, quality special teams play helped them out. So, I know we mentioned you were at Camden and RV this past week. I was at Burlington Township Delran. That was another one I was at in addition to Pensacola and Eastern. We have Burlington City coach Kadin Booker join the show, and they're playing Burlington Township this week. That was my first time seeing Burlington Township under the direction of Stephen Everett. He's in his second year there. I got to know Stephen, as I said on last week's show, very well when he was at Willingboro. Burlington Township pulled out a 22-10 win there. Their quarterback, Bryce Carter, is currently injured right now. He told us he'll be back probably closer to the playoffs, approximately. But the freshman, Eddie McNair, filled in for them, and he had a solid game. He's, like I said, he was a freshman. It was sort of the freshman experience, a couple nice touchdowns, a couple turnovers, a roller coaster ride if you must, but they were able to pull out the win. First play of the game, 70-yard touchdown from scrimmage. Eddie McNair throws it to his wide receiver on the outside, going for a touchdown. And then some trickery is involved with Delran. They get the ball. They do a fake punt pass to prolong their first drive. And then eventually they run a trick play. Quarterback hits the wide receiver on a swing pass. Wide receiver throws downfield. Receiver catches it, locates the ball, gets tackled at the 1-yard line, though. Huge tackle for Burlington Township defender in pursuit to be able to make that tackle, because on the next play, you're thinking, okay, they're on the 1-yard line. They're just going to punch this in. They get a procedure penalty, backs them up 5 yards. Now they're at the 6-yard line. They get held to 3 points. And I was like I said, I was there with Mark Tribble, and it was just a wacky game, like in an entertaining way, in a good way. There was just so much going on. Then neither team scored in the second quarter. Third quarter, you get a scoop and score. Well, first you get a pick 6 by Delran, by Giovanni Marshall Edwards to give them the lead. And then Burlington Township gets a scoop and score on a bad snap. That gives them the lead. And then they never surrendered the lead from there. Aiden Binns, who we had on the show last week, was great. He didn't have any touchdowns. He finished with 120 rushing yards on 25 carries, but he just made quality runs when they needed it. In the middle of the game there, when the passing game wasn't working too well for Blount Township, they were able to give Binns the ball, and he was able to get 6-7 yards on early downs, and that was helping them control the clock, control the time of possession. And then on the last drive, before they scored their last touchdown, it's about 2 minutes to go, 4th and 2, they go for it. He gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, somehow sheds a couple tackles, is able to get the first down. It sets up the next touchdown pass from Eddie McNair to another freshman, Gerald Sackey, and that put the game away. So a huge win for Blount Township, and they got a big one coming up against Blount City this week. 2 undefeated teams.
Yeah, I think that Blount Township team, that would have been like probably, I guess, a big baseline test for them. Obviously, they kind of just ran through the rest of their opponents. This one, it seemed like their opponent, it gave them, I guess, obviously having a freshman quarterback back there too. It's not going to be, easy sailing. Like you said, it's going to be like a roller coaster experience most of the time. But, it seemed like that Blount Township kind of passed the test of like, hey, what kind of are we and what can we do moving forward? I know Coach Everett's going to, some things that probably didn't go their way. They're probably going to go back to the drawing board, pick up the pieces of what was left behind, in the win, and, try and put the puzzle together so they kind of play, I guess, a more of a complete game in their eyes.
Yeah, and it was a resilient effort too, because after the pick 6 by Delran that gave Delran a 10-6 lead, standing on the Blount Township sideline, you could see a little bit of, defeat. They were not happy with how they were playing. It was only a 4-point deficit, but you could just see they were dejected. It was like a gut punch. But they were able to stay together with a freshman quarterback, as we said, under center, rallying. The defense played phenomenal, and they were able to pull out a key win on the road, and that pretty much puts them in the driver's seat for the division. So I know we were going to go with a different order tonight, but while we're at it, we might as well just breeze through some of the games that we're looking forward to this week. We'll save the best for last. We have our guests, in for this one. So we're getting word from our producer that he's ready. Are we good to go? All right, give us a few seconds and we'll have our next guest on. This is a big one. If you're a Burlington County guy, you appreciate Burlington County football, and this is a big one.
So there's a couple of good games in Burlington County in general, but like 2 undefeated teams, at Wilbur Watts, it's gonna be a good one.
Absolutely, with all the traffic going on 1:30, that's the place to be Friday night.
Yeah,
so
thank God I get done work at 1 o'clock that day.
So it looks like we're getting a thumbs up from our producer.
Trying to get him to come on. He's there waiting. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Burlington Township is a team that I do want to try and get out to see this year. I know that I feel like they have a lot of guys that I guess preseason might not have caught too many eyes, but it seems like right now that there's a hype train going, and I think a lot of people are going to hop on it. And I do definitely want to try and see them either in the postseason or obviously before seasons end sometime. Before, whether their season ends at Rutgers or if it ends before then, who knows? But I do want to try and get to see them this year. I know they got is it Jameis Sackey? Is that how you say his name? Jameis Sackey at the Syracuse commit. I definitely want to try and see Binns up front too on the sidelines, and that's Gerald Sackey. I mean, it seems like they just got a lot of speed in that family. So I think Jameis was on that 4x100 relay team that's had like the number 1 state record or something like that this past spring. So I mean, it's good they got some speed over there for the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean they're a bona fide contender in Group 3. It's a wide open field this year, so it's definitely an opportunity for them to pursue a sectional championship. I remember the last time I seen them in a sectional championship was when they played Woodrow Wilson a couple of years ago. When Woodrow Wilson was loaded, notably Fidel Diggs, who was pretty much unstoppable at the high school level. And Burlington Township has the ability to get back to a sectional final this year. So while we're still waiting, just a couple of numbers with this matchup coming up. Burlington Township and Burlington City played last year. Burlington Township, solid last year. They made a run in the playoffs. They won a lot of games last year. They won last year's meeting 42-8. They've won all 3 meetings since 2003. And then Burlington Township, as we said, their defense has been stout this year. They've pretty much been blowing through their competition up until this point. They've outscored opponents 193-39. And Burlington City's doing pretty much the same thing, outscoring their opponents 200-88. I know a couple weeks ago, a game that was on our radar was them in Riverside, because that was a game to sort of get the
Essentially for
inside
yeah.
track for the division, and Burlington City had a statement in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what 42-8 final for Blount City in that game over Riverside. A lot of people look at that. I guess probably that week because essentially that was for the driver's seat in that division, and with a win like that for Blount City, it seemed like the driver's seat might be a nice leather interior and a Lamborghini if possible at that point. So for both teams, they're looking for stay undefeated, obviously, because you want to go 1-0 each week. At the same time, possibly set, if Brooklyn City can pull this out, that's good power points for them. That's a lot of good power points for them. It could set them up as top 1 or 2 seed in, the South or Central Group 1 brackets for them. And I think that they got a pretty good shot.
Absolutely. So looks like we're good to go. We have Burlington City coach Kadin Booker on the show joining us. Kadin, how's it going?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time out of your night to join us. We appreciate the viewers for managing with us, staying with us through some technical difficulties, but we have Kadin Booker here. The show will go on. So, Kadin, before we jump into anything Burlington City, Burlington Township, just kind of take us through your football background. I know you had played at Burlington City, if I'm not mistaken. You're coaching at your alma mater. I know you went to Ball State. Just take us through your football journey, your football background, and where it's gone from, where it started and where it's at now.
Gotcha. So I graduated from City in 2014. From there, I went to Monroe Junior College. I went there for 1 season, 2 semesters, basically. Then from there, I earned a scholarship. I went to Ball State. I was there for 3 years, and then I did a grad year at the University of Rhode Island.
Okay, so how special is it to be able to give back to the community that, molded you and gave you the opportunity to play football, and just being able to be a role model for, the next generation coming through the city that you're from?
It's great. It's been awesome. A lot of these kids I went to school with, their brothers, their uncles, their older sisters, their aunts, stuff like that. So it's a tight knit community. I know just if everybody knows everybody here. So it's been great to come back and give back to the community in any way that I can, whether it's football, education, anyway.
And like I said, we got a big Burlington County matchup this week, Chris. I'm going to give the viewers a little bit of a geography lesson for those who don't know, being I'm a Burlington County guy. Burlington Township and Burlington City, literally in walking distance from one another. You could walk right up Jacksonville Road. I'm sure there might even be a shortcut. They're separated by like 1.5 miles. It's within walking distance. Kadin, how much does this matchup mean to the community? I know these two teams have only played 3 times since 2003, and we've talked about on previous shows how some rivalries are sort of fading because there's a discrepancy in numbers and whatnot. Obviously, Burlington City, a Group 1 school, Burlington Township, a Group 3 school. But I know you guys aren't afraid to play anybody, and this game means so much to those two communities. So how excited are you guys for this game, and what does it mean to Burlington as a whole, Burlington City and Burlington Township?
It's huge. It's huge for both communities. I think it's Friday night. It's going to be a great night where everybody just gets to come together because we all know each other. Like you said, Burlington City and Burlington Township, you can walk there. I've walked there a bunch of times. So, like, everybody knows everybody. It's going to be a great night Friday night, and it'll be great for the kids. All the kids know each other. They grew up playing together. I've coached some of those kids in the past. So it's going to be cool to see everybody out there Friday night.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I remember seeing a basketball game between Blount City and Blount Township, and that was incredible. The atmosphere and just seeing all the people there, the two communities going out of it. It's a rivalry. It means so much, being that everyone knows everybody. So, Chris, I know you've seen Burlington City a couple times in the past couple of years, both through the 7-on-7 tournaments and just out there in the course of the regular season. So, what do you got for Kadin?
Yeah, Coach, you guys are 5-0 this year. Had a pretty good showing at our 7-on-7 this year as well. What do you think's kind of been the main success to you guys getting out to such a hot start, defensively and offensively?
I mean, it sounds like coach speak, but we had a really good summer. I mean, the kids really put in the work, put in the hours this summer. They were running, lifting, practicing 4 or 5 days a week leading up to camp, and then just the chemistry. We only graduated 3 seniors from last year, so this is the oldest team I've had by far. We've got 12 seniors right now. I think up until this year, the most I ever had was 3. So we've been a young team forever, and we really took our lumps those first couple of years, and it's paying off right now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, so I mean, Dante Davis, an incredible talent. And when we get Coach Booker back on the line and the technical difficulties figured out, we'll
Hey,
definitely
Coach,
talking
can
about
you
him.
hear
But
us?
he's been a tremendous
Yeah,
player
I
so
can
far
hear you
this year.
now. I can hear
Okay.
you.
All right.
Yeah, so Coach Dante Davis, one of those players who's been a standout so far this year. Just talk about him as a student, as an athlete. I mean, how tremendous of a kid is he, and how has he been able to get off to a quick start this year?
Yeah, so if you know Dante just from reading the box score and just seeing what he does every Friday and Saturday, you'd think he'd have an ego or be a cocky kid because he's putting up crazy numbers every time he steps on the field. He's the most humble kid you'd ever come across. He doesn't even talk about football unless you talk about it with him. He's been awesome, but he's like I said earlier, like he had an awesome summer. He lifted. He had a crazy track season in the spring. So he's been preparing for this for a while, and I'm glad everybody's starting to notice it now because he's been a stud since he was 10, 11 years old. Hello?
I don't think he could hear you. Ask him
I, I can hear you now. I don't know where
again.
it cut me off at, but
When we put you on solo, after that we'll switch it. We'll switch you back so you can hear the question. I'll just point to you. There's something going on with switching it. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, so I was just asking, being that Blount City is such a small community in terms of just how big it is. I mean, it's a few streets, a few neighborhoods, it's a smaller population. Do you ever feel you guys are often overlooked being that so many talented players that came through that school in your tenure and even before that? I mean, there's been a tremendous amount of players that came through there. Obviously, most recently we had Malachi James who came through there, who's at Syracuse now. I remember seeing DJ Woodbury on the football field and basketball court, tremendous athlete. Being a basketball guy, I've seen the Morris twins come through there. A lot of great athletes have came through that school. So do you ever feel like you guys are sort of overlooked being that you're just that small little community right there on the bank of the Delaware River?
yeah, at times I feel like we are a little overlooked, but I feel like every Group 1 school goes through it. Like, not every year do we have a whole bunch of kids on the team. Like, there's been years where I've had 24, 25 kids. Now we've got the numbers up now, but we're trying to change that, bring a positive light to Burlington through football. So with the kids we got on the team, they're doing a great job, and hopefully they start getting a little bit more notoriety.
And you guys are 5-0, off to a great start. You mentioned having an experienced team, a lot of guys back. What are the goals for this season, and what are you guys doing to sort of check off those boxes and get to those goals?
Right. So the cliche thing would be to say just worry about the next game, but everybody knows that this is the year for us. We got to make something happen. So we know with the roster we got and the pathway we got in the playoffs that we want to make some noise. We feel like we're a championship team. We've played well, and we feel like Friday is a big test for us to really see where we're at, see where we stand. Can you guys hear me still?
Yep, we got you. So, Rick, what do you have for Kadin? I know you like to throw the players a curveball with the pre-game routine and whatnot and pre-game playlist. What do you got for a coach? A little bit different perspective here. We don't got a player, we got a coach here. What do you got for him?
No, I'm behind the scenes trying to get everything together so you know what I mean, we could get it together. But Coach, since you've been there, you've always found ways to maximize the talent that you have, and as well as the roster. You just spoke about that. Sometimes you have 24, sometimes you have a little bit more. What goes into your thought process, creativity of maximizing your roster, because you don't have the numbers, the 80s or the hundreds like some of the other bigger programs may have?
Right. So I think the biggest thing for me is, and it's helped me every year I've been here, I've known these kids for a while. So like a kid like Dante Davis and just about that entire senior class, I've been with them since they were 11, 12 through our youth program. So just knowing their strengths, their weaknesses, and just being with them for so long, like you kind of get the feel of where they should go and where they can help the team the most. And that's been the best thing for me, is just having that chemistry with the kids, having chemistry, and the kids having chemistry with the coaches, honestly. That's been big for us.
Yeah, and you guys always seem to stay rolling as far as being first to, with the uniforms or, doing something on the cutting edge. So what goes to that? Is that something that comes from the kids, or is that, you guys as coaches?
I feel like it's both. I'm not that much older than the kids. I'm 29, so I'm kind of in the loop with what they like and like music they listen to and what jerseys they like. But the black jerseys we got this past year, this has been in the making for a while, and it was kind of a reward for just the work they've put in over these 4 years. This senior class for me is special just because I've been with them for so long, like watching them grow up. Like literally, probably 9, 10 kids in the senior class. They've come all the way through our youth program, so this was kind of like a parting gift for them, honestly, and they love them, so it's great.
Yeah, my last question, Coach. What's in the playlist before the game, man? You say you're not that much older than them. What we got? Some Young Boy, we got some Dirk. What we got in the playlist?
For me, I like kind of RJ said it earlier. I kind of agree with him. I like more mellow stuff, but being around these kids, all they listen to is NBA YoungBoy. Like, that's literally like our team. That's the only thing that plays on game day. So I've grown to like him a little bit. Just he's not really my cup of tea, but I've grown to like him that I hear him for 2 hours before the game on Friday night.
Right. Yeah. No, it's I asked that. I have a daughter who's now in high school. I have a niece who's now in high school, and they're both freshmen. And the NBA YoungBoy concerts and all this other stuff. Some of the stuff that they're listening to is kind of, I mean, we were listening to some NWA and other things like that, but it seemed like it's a little more, aggressive right now.
Yeah,
So,
I seen something seen a post on social media today. It was like some viral post. A teacher wrote like 10 things on the board that the kids aren't allowed to say, and it was like Jet 2 Holiday, from the videos, when that NBA YoungBoy concert, like just what the kids are talking about nowadays. But no, I like that answer out of Kadin and RJ earlier, because like I said, we had a discussion about this a couple shows ago about what we listen to kind of get fired up for a game. And there's days where I'm the kind of guy, I want to listen to something that amps me up, something that gets me hyped. And then there's times where I was like, let's listen to something mellow to kind of stay, even keel, be in the right mind space for, a big moment like this.
Yeah.
So definitely a good approach to kind of be calm and go into that level headed and everything. So I definitely like the idea of, being mellow and listen to calming music, going into a game.
Sometimes it's good to have a clear head. You know what I mean? Like so when I played, like I said, I would watch the program, things like that. As I got older, when I first started coaching and things like that, I would listen to, the Locks and, Styles and Chic. And I would always say, with Styles, it's like somebody has to get stabbed for me to be hyped, because that was his thing in his songs. But, as we get older, we start to mellow out a little bit, though. You know what I mean? But Coach, best of luck this week. I know it's a big rivalry game this weekend. Is there anything you want your fans, your players, or anybody to know about this game this weekend?
I mean, I think you guys covered just about everything. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be biggest game that's been played at Wilbur Watson. I don't know how long, and I'm just really excited. More so for the kids because they get to experience this. I was not fortunate. We didn't play Blount Township when I was in high school, so it's something I've always wanted to do as a player, as a coach. We got to play them last year at their place, but having it at home, man, it's going to be awesome.
So I have one more. It's a house divided this week. This is what I'm gonna do. So my wife went to township. She graduated from city, but I'm pushing her to township side. I think I'm gonna take city this week. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go with Derek. Our cousins, Derek Price. I'm gonna go with him, and she could take Drew. Drew played at Burlington Township. That's a house divided. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm riding out with City this week, so I'm with y'all this week, Coach, for this game.
No, we appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us tonight. As we said, taking the time out of your night to talk about this huge game this week. We congratulate you on the success you guys have had so far, being undefeated, 5-0 for the first time since 2017, and then obviously preparing for a huge game this week. I know you guys have big goals the rest of the way that we sort of talked about, so we wish you guys luck the rest of the way. And again, we appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Thank you, Coach.
I'll tell you what. My freshman year, we contributed to that 5-0. Man, they gave us the belt when I was lost year my freshman year up at Wilbur Watts. We had 20 kids though. We were hurt, but we probably still would have beat them anyway.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I'm trying to get this together. Okay, we got it together. We in here working, y'all. It's a whole new setup. I'm trying to get everything wired correctly. I think we should be good now. Hold on. Let me publish this to live. Okay, we published it to live. We good now. The I'll let y'all in on a little secret. The issue is it's two different systems. So the one system would only let me view. All right. So we're back. All right. We should be good. We're gonna iron out all the kinks, man. We're gonna get them together.
First week in the new studio.
Yeah, first day in the new studio. We're trying to get there, but I'll let y'all go ahead.
Yeah, so moving on, obviously we covered, two big games coming up this week, being that we had RJ Blount on earlier, Pennsauken playing Camden Eastside, and then we just had Kadin Booker on to preview Blount City and Blount Township. Couple of other big ones coming up this week. Cherokee at Shawnee, Cherokee 2-3, Shawnee 3-2. But when those teams meet, usually throw the records out the window. I mean, it's always a competitive battle. Although the Chiefs have won 5 straight in that series, Shawnee's last win was in 2019. Both teams off to a solid start this year. And as I said, whenever someone makes that short trip from Medford to Marlton or Marlton to Medford, it's usually a good game. So that's one to check out Friday night. Cumberland and Bridgeton, another one of those matchups similar to the 2 matchups we talked about earlier where they're so close to each other, separated by 4.3 miles. I mean, it's literally you pull out the driveway, you go down the road, you bang a left, you bang a right, you're there. So another one of those neighborhood rivalries that I imagine means a lot to those people who went to those schools, attended those Cumberland County schools. Cumberland off to a 4-1 start, their best start since 2008, and Bridgeton's off to a 3-2 start. So definitely a game to watch on Friday night. Hopewell Valley at Seneca, a South Jersey Group 3 semifinal rematch. Last year, the two teams played in the regular season. Hopewell Valley rolled to a 35-12 win at home. Okay, it looks like these two teams are going to have to face each other again. Hopewell Valley is going to be the presumable favorite. They meet again up at Hopewell Township. Seneca goes up there, beats them 28-25 in the South Jersey Group 3 semifinals to advance to their 3rd straight Group 3 sectional championship. So we got a little bit of a rematch there. Some teams that have some recent history. It's the only time those two have ever played because obviously Seneca's a school that competed in the Olympic Conference when the Olympic Conference was associated with football, and then the West Jersey Football League, a program that opened in 2003, and Hopewell Valley coming from Mercer County. These guys have recent history, and it's starting to, turn into a little bit of a rivalry. And then Pennsauken and the East Side, we covered them sort of when we had RJ Blount on. 2 schools, North Crescent Boulevard. It's a few minutes down the road from each other. As I said earlier, you could be walking down the street in Pennsauken, and then you're in East Camden just like that. I actually had to take a coworker home one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I live in Pennsauken." And we got there, I was like, "This ain't Pennsauken, this is East Camden." I don't know if he was trying to try to get me to feel comfortable. I was like, "Dude, I don't care, dude. I'll take you wherever you need to go. I'm not afraid or nothing." But it was funny. I was like, "This isn't Pennsauken. Pennsauken might be a little bit down the street. This is East Camden right here." So obviously a good neighborhood rivalry there. And then what game are you looking forward to? What game are you going to be at this week, Chris?
So I'm looking at it's probably gonna be our game of the week. I'm looking at go to probably Haddonfield at West Effort. Old Colonial Conference matchup. They play pretty much every single year. I know every single sport, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, field hockey, lacrosse, both teams are usually all very good at those sports, and it's always a very competitive matchup, and it's always a heated rivalry. They're both storied programs in the Colonial Conference, whether it's in football or any other sport, both very storied programs. And it's always one of those, when you think of the Colonial Conference and you think of like a rivalry in that conference, you usually probably think of Haddonfield and West Effort.
Absolutely. And, Haddonfield has sort of owned the series recently, winning the last 5 matchups since 2020. West Effort last one in 2019, 28-14. Doing a little bit of research today, these teams have met 20 times since 2010. A lot of times they've met twice in the same year because, as you said, they're Colonial Conference foes. So they're already playing each other. And then they see each other again in the same playoff bracket in South Jersey Group 2. So they've met 4 times in the South Jersey Group 2 final since 2010. Haddonfield has won 3 of those in 2010, 2014, and 2017. West Effort won 1 in 2011. So, as I just said, Haddonfield 2010, West Effort 2011. So they face each other in the playoffs in the sectional championship 2 years in a row. And if you go back even further, 2009, 2006, they played each other in the semifinals of that South Jersey Group 2 bracket. And in 2014, they played each other in the first round. And what's interesting, too, is if you look at a lot of the years, it's very rare that one team has swept the other team in those years where they played 2 times. Usually, whoever wins in the regular season loses in the playoffs. It's like, I'm sure they would like to be on the other end of that. They'll take the loss early on, learn from it, and come back and get the win. But it's always a good matchup because these are 2 championship programs, 2 very well-coached programs throughout the years. Obviously, Haddonfield led by Frank Delano. West Deptford for a long time led by Clyde Folsom. And then now with John Emmel doing a terrific job there. They're sort of getting back to where they were, 5-0 for the first time since 2019. West Deptford's won 7 sectional championships. Haddonfield has won 6. So it goes without saying, as I said, 2 well-coached programs, 2 championship programs. It's definitely going to be a good matchup considering last year they played each other. Both teams have a lot of players back from those teams. Haddonfield won 30-28. It was a complete classic, complete thriller in Haddonfield. They're off of 295 this week down in West Deptford. So I'm looking forward to that one too. So take us through a couple other ones we have marked down here. I know there's a big one on Saturday in Camden County, and then also an early start, 3 o'clock on Friday down by the shore. Another one of those traditional neighborhood rivalries.
Yeah, so our Saturday matinee is Winslow at Camden. They played last year, and Winslow, that's a pretty much a blowout. I think it was 40-6. Winslow won that one. Winslow's won 3 of the last 5 matchups. They've outscored them 77-38. Camden won 2 straight matchups, though, in 2019 and 2017. So it's not like it's been all Winslow in recent memory. Camden's got some wins in there as well. And, I think both teams kind of have the makings for another classic game between those two. Whether it's, 2-score possession, 1-score possession, 1-point game, whether that is. And like you mentioned as well, we got the battle for the bridge. Obviously, they like the bridge up the color of who wins between Mainland and Ocean City, the bridge connecting the mainland of New Jersey to the island of Ocean City. So Mainland's 2-3, Ocean City's 3-2. Like you mentioned, it's a 3 o'clock start. I'm assuming because of either weather or I'm not sure what the early start is for. Mainland's won 2 of the last 5 matchups. They won the last 2 matchups, to be specific, in 2023 and 2024. And Winslow's won 3 of the last 5, outscoring Mainland 96-33. And in 2021, speaking of, a season series, Ocean City swept them. They played them at first in the playoffs, and then on Thanksgiving.
And that's one of those rivalries, even beyond football. It's got to be up there as one of the best rivalries in South Jersey. I remember seeing these 2 teams play in a sectional championship for basketball that went to triple overtime a few seasons ago. And when I say a few seasons ago, 2 seasons ago. And you mentioning and also baseball. I seen them play in the playoffs in baseball when Mainland had Chase Petty, which was a terrific game. Ocean City was loaded that year, ended up winning a state championship with Gannon Brady, a couple other guys.
Tom Finnegan up at St.
Tom
John's,
Finnegan, yep. Yeah, that was a tremendous team, talented on both ends there. And that was a great game. And you mentioning lighting up the bridge, whoever wins, that's what high school sports are all about.
Oh, yeah.
So that's definitely a huge game. And you're playing for the right to have the bridge lit up. That would get me going. I'd be fired up to have the opportunity to do that.
I think is it for the entirety of the season? I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's the entirety until the next game's played, right?
I'm not sure. So. We'd have to, get in touch with some Atlantic County representatives. We have some guys we know that are plugged in down there. They could probably give us a concrete answer on that. Yeah, absolutely. And spinning back on that Winslow Camden game, you mentioned they've played a couple times since 2020. I don't think a lot of people remember when Winslow defeated Camden in that COVID season in 2020. I'll always remember that because that's really the start of Winslow football, like this run that they've had recently. That's really where it started. I remember they won that game and everyone was like, wow, Winslow upset Camden. Like, this is a statement win. And then it was like, okay, was it just it was during COVID? Was it a COVID thing? Was Camden missing guys? Were guys in COVID protocol? What's the deal here? Winslow ends up having a good year that year. They followed up the next year with another good year. They go up and play at Rutgers, play Millville in a regional championship. And then ever since then, they've been in sectional championship hunts. Last year, obviously going undefeated, 14-0, winning the first state championship in school history. They're the number 1 team in South Jersey right now. So I always remember that game because I think it slips a lot of people's minds. Like, that was really the game where it all started. When Kenny Scott was there, obviously Bill Bellin was on the staff. He was the offensive coordinator at the time. He's had since obviously elevated, becoming the head coach. But that's really where this era of Winslow football all started. right then and there when they pulled out that huge win against Camden, and they haven't looked back since. So that's definitely a matchup I always keep circled every year because I always think of that moment. And it's two tremendous teams, two teams, regardless of the outcome, both teams will get better from this matchup, and both teams will be looking to compete for sectional and state championships later in the year. So that's another big one I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of games out in Camden County I've seen on Saturday. We mentioned the Pensacola and East Side game, Winslow and Camden, Camden Catholic, Haddon Heights. There's a few games out there. So if you're in the Camden County area, you want to go check out a local team, you're looking for something to do, pass some time, go check out a team in your local neighborhood and see what's going on. It's a lot of good football around here. So
I think we need a South Jersey red zone, South Jersey football red zone. That's what we need.
Hey,
So
maybe we'll be the ones to invent it one of these days.
I'm game for it. I'll send it to Dex like Scott Hansen for 8 hours. I'll do that.
It'll take a lot, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I'll tell you what, South Jersey has the means. The effort isn't necessarily there. That's all. I'll stop there.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. We breezed through everything. We had two great guests tonight. RJ Blount from Pensacola, tremendous running back. He'll be headed to Temple. He's off to a great start this year. They had a big win. Moving forward, having another big game this week. Same thing for Broughton City, off to a great start. We had their coach, Kadin Booker, on. They have another big one this week against neighborhood rival Broughton Township. As I said, you could walk to those two schools. Maybe like a 30-minute walk. It's like a mile and a half. Get in the car if you really want to. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to voluntarily walk a mile and a half.
Is there that? I know Burlington City, like the high school. It's off that main road, right? I know they got.
It's right on the corner of Jacksonville Road and 130. And then if you're on 130 and you're heading north, Burlington City will be to your right. You make a right at that light. You literally go up to like the next light, and Burlington Township's right down that corner, Fountain Avenue, and it's Old York Road the other way at the light, and then
some
Jacksonville
good food places
Road.
up there too. Right around
Absolutely,
the corner, some good food places.
Absolutely,
For sure.
Absolutely, yeah. He knows a little bit about Burlington Township, City. So that pretty much does it for us. We thank you guys for tuning in to episode 6 of By the Numbers. Always make sure to comment. Let us know what you guys would like to see. Ask any questions. We would love to answer those questions. Just make sure to share this out. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys continuing to watch. And we appreciate you guys always visiting our website, d2sportsnetwork.com, to see all our great articles. And obviously showing love and support on Instagram at D2 Sports Network with the great videographers and photographers we have doing work for us. So we thank you for watching us. We encourage you to share this out, share it with your friends, family. You can rewatch it on YouTube at any time. So feel free to go back and watch it.
We want to start being a little more interactive with the fans. So we're probably going to do a open line where they can call in. A little segment. We'll do that. Yeah. We're about to turn things up.
We're on Twitter. Tweet at us. Not necessarily during
About
the
to turn
show.
it up a little bit.
We're not on our phones during the show, but if you have any questions you want us to answer on Twitter, I guess we'll try and come up with like a hashtag or something like that. Maybe, I'm active on Twitter, Rod's active on Twitter, you're active on Twitter. So, we've got multiple accounts that people can reach out to us on. Just shoot us a tweet, or Instagram, tag us in an Instagram story or repost a reel or whatever, like clip something from the show and say, hey, like, what do you guys did this? Like, I got a question about XYZ about this game or something like that. We want to be a little bit more interactive with you guys, not just, us talking the entire time with a guest, we want to try and get you guys involved too, just like what Rod was saying.
Absolutely. You guys are the reason we do this. I mean, you mentioning that made me think of this past week when I was at the Broughton Township Delran game. I mean, players were literally coming up to me and Mark Tribble and like, thank you so much for coming out, guys, giving us fist bumps, shaking our hands. And it's like, hey, we're out here for you guys. We're out here to see you guys play, compete. We love high school football. We want to give you guys the shine, the recognition, because you guys deserve it. You guys are putting in the hours in the classroom. You guys are out here competing hard, for the love of the game. We're out here to watch you guys, and we want to give you guys that recognition. So we appreciate you guys. We do this for you guys, and we appreciate all the support that you guys show back. So thanks again for tuning in to episode 6 of By the Numbers. We'll see you next week, and keep showing love. We appreciate it.
Hi, Mom.